All right, so a few things. First of all, remember to subscribe, donate, and like this video. And if you feel like it at the end of the video, please leave a comment. The comments really help me out because, as you guys are seeing up on the screen, this entire video is based on one comment. Thank you, Blue, for leaving your comments, for liking the videos, for being my number one fan. I really appreciate you, and I don't know how to thank you. So, when the last few days when I've been putting together videos, every single time I get to the fourth talking point, ChatGPT says the same thing to me. You can't win, Millennial Steam. This game of life, especially having to do with work, is so rigged against you. You can't win by going to work. And this has gotten to me because it's the same thing over and over and over again. It's about control, it's about exploitation, it's about you being a loser. The only way the system can continue to function the way that it does is by continuing to produce losers. As long as the 99% doesn't try to change their status as losers, the game will continue. The second that the losers realize that they've been set up and this is all a scam, that they were never meant to be happy. And this is the number one thing I want you to take away from this video today. You were never meant to be happy. Your low wages, your crappy jobs, your miserable relationships. Last night I was watching The Sims being played by one of my favorite Twitch streamers, and she was playing The Sims 2. And her Sim character met a guy on the street outside of her home, and she spent like the next hour trying to get this guy to woo-hoo with her, and it was almost obnoxious. It's like the character didn't want to go into a shallow, empty relationship just for woo-hoo. Well, that's the relationship we have with Evil Corp. Evil Corp wants to woo-hoo with us and then toss us aside. But even though we know better, the desperation, the fear, and the depression all make us extremely vulnerable to the system. Because regardless of what the job is, our desperation keeps us returning back to that empty, pointless, no security, no love, harmful relationship with Evil Corp because we just need money. Often we don't care what we do. In fact, I was talking to one of my work ladies who took all of my resume experience for the last 20 years and just looked at it and said, Millennial Steam, you can't do anything for money. That's really what she came to the conclusion. And she told me that. She was straight up honest with me. You have useless education, you have useless job skills, you're a loser. And I kind of just like listened to this and I was like, okay, she's being 100% honest with me. Her career, her entire career is based on making careers for other people. And she just looked at what I had and it's like, you're never going to make a life for yourself. You just don't have anything worth paying you for. And I thought to myself, well, this is great. I spent my whole life working. I own nothing. And a career services person just told me that I have no chance. And I kind of just took it that I shook my head and thought to myself, I knew it. I was well aware of my position in life a long time ago. I'm a bona fide loser with nothing to live for except for the rope. And I thought to myself at that moment, I mean, she's just vindicated everything I've said. Most of us, regardless of our education, we don't know how to do anything. We are straight up disposable pieces of crap, working in a society as disposable pieces of crap. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to get rich. We're not going on fabulous vacations. Our situation isn't going to get any better because we're not worth investing in. No corporation wants to invest in losers. They just want you to do the job, put the fries in the bag, little bro, and just shut up. That's all they want from you. That's all the proletariat's good for. If the proletariat was going to get rich off of hard work, we'd all be rich and we wouldn't want to work. But as long as they keep paying us nothing because we're worth nothing, we have to keep coming back for those tiny little pathetic paychecks. And when we seem like we can't live anymore on them, they tell us to work more jobs or work harder. That's at the end of the day, that's their only answer to us. So when ChatGPT came up with this title for Blue's comment, I thought it was I thought it was neat. Obedience disguised as virtue. And this is the monologue. They tell you to work harder, be grateful, stay humble. But let's be real. When has that ever made anyone rich? Because the last time I checked, billionaires don't grind. They own you. Well, sounds like a pretty harsh introduction, so let's get into my 4 talking points and see how much harder it gets. And believe me, by the end of this video, you're going to be touching your rear end and wondering why it never stops hurting. Talking point number 1. Hard work doesn't equal success. The real winners aren't the hardest workers. They're the ones who control labor, resource, and decision making. The system isn't broken. It's designed this way. Your struggle equals profit for the 1%. So, while I was thinking about this, I came up with these 2 comments. Immigrants busting their hump are the worst off people in this country, doing the hardest labor, doing the labor that no one wants to do. And as all those fools in my comment section say, oh, well, Americans will do those jobs, you just have to pay them more. No, they will not do those jobs. Not at all. Meatpacking is an incredibly dangerous job, and it is incredibly low paying, and it is hard work. Working in a slaughterhouse is probably one of the worst jobs you can imagine. Farming is also a terrible job, and construction work sucks. Americans steer clear of the industries where you see a primarily nearly 100% Hispanic population because they will do anything for money. And the jobs that you don't want are just like the bottom level resources that we don't want, right? There are certain people in our society that have very little value, almost to the point where they have no value. And when you're dealing with those populations, someone has to come down and swoop them up. I was watching this stupid video yesterday at work because I was extremely bored at some point. And they were competing. They had 2 teams of competitors. One that was Army girls, one that was influencers. And one of the Army girls was really overweight. And probably the reason why they lost the competition. Because all the rest of the girls were in very good shape, but the one that was bigger than all of them was causing the whole team to slow down. Now imagine if instead of having 4 kind of fit people on your side, you had 4 girls that looked like that, 100 pounds overweight and much slower than everyone else just on one team. They would have no chance. Well, in our society, the team that doesn't have any chance at winning is that. But it's not just being overweight. It's being undereducated. It's being unmotivated. It's being demoralized. The entire proletariat continues to work because they won't grow a backbone. They've gotten complacent and lazy to the point where they think that this competition at life will just magically turn around for them because that's what's supposed to happen. Well, I hate to break this to you, but unless you get off your lazy rear end proletariat and pick up your pitchfork, things will never change for you. People have to get angry. People have to get out on the street. People have to start screaming and yelling that eggs are $10 and that the federal minimum wage is still $7.25. Unless you take the fight right to them, nothing is going to change because it doesn't benefit the system to change in any conceivable way. Wages are low, jobs suck, you have no job security, your boss hates you, and the corporations think that you're stupid. That's what corporations think of you, proletariat. They think you're stupid because you will not change the system. And they're not interested in making any sort of, even the slightest bit of changes. Your mental health is in the trash because your financial situation is in the trash. Those things cannot be separated. And the only way that you're going to make a change is by going right to the corporation and saying, no, no, no. That's it. That's all there is to say. It's no. There's no negotiation about it. You're going to triple or quadruple my pay. No negotiation. That's it. Today, the tariffs are going to kick in against us. These tariffs are directly going to affect you and me in the grocery store. In fact, I was telling my Gen Z yesterday, I'm willing to bet that the grocery stores aren't going to wait for the tariffs to kick in. They're going to punch up the prices the second at midnight in order to price gouge the hell out of their customers. Because again, who are their customers? The proletariat. If you have to ask about why something costs that much money, you can't afford it. And guess what? We can't afford rent, we can't afford food, and we can't afford to go to work crummy jobs. That's the number one thing we can't afford to do anymore. We can't afford to work. And when you have an entire population of people that's basically caged animals in these tiny little apartments, not being able to afford to go to work is a very substantial problem. Talking point number 2. They reward the most obedient, not the most skilled. Companies don't want independent thinkers. They want workers who don't question low pay, long hours, or bad treatment. Bad treatment to me is the equivalent of being verbally abused in the workplace because they think that you need to be grateful. The business owner that tells you that regular work is a right. Is a privilege, not a right. And when you have people who think like that, people who really honestly believe these things, you have a problem. They want people working longer hours for free. They want people to accept the treatment by the corporations. They don't want to give you PTO. They don't want you going on vacation. They don't want you showing up late or leaving early. They want to own you. They want that full control over your life, right down to the point where they understand where you can afford to live, what car you can drive, and even what you're putting in your pie hole to eat. Because they know at the wages that they're providing, their workers aren't eating well or eating regularly. They're well aware of that. And the callous nature of knowing how great the suffering is of the proletariat and laughing at them. Because this is what they do all day long. They laugh at you. Because they wonder how one people can be so stupid to accept these conditions. They laugh at you all day long while they pocket everything. When you get paid, you know you're not really getting paid. All that money goes directly back up to all the rich people every time you think you're getting paid. Talking point number 3, the guilt trap. Why you're told to be grateful. Gratitude is weaponized to make people accept low wages, burnout, and unfair conditions. Unfair conditions are all that's available to low-level workers. You go in, you sit in a crappy job in some crummy chair, and you think to yourself, is this it? I ask myself that question all day long. The burnout, it's absolutely real. No creature on earth can run on the hamster wheel for 20 years without burnout. I burn out within hours of starting any new job because chances are that day 1 is going to be equal to day 1,000. You put the fries in the bag, little bro. That's all you do all day long. They don't even try to disguise the extreme boredom of most low wage jobs. And again, if you won't do it, they'll find the next sucker that's standing right next to you to do it for a penny less. That's the way they work. Meanwhile, the CEOs and shareholders never feel guilty about demanding more money. Funny how that works, isn't it? The people that have the most money never have a problem with saying, you know what? Last year I made 20 million. This year record profits. I want to make 25 billion plus more stock options. They give it to them. But you, proletariat, dare to ask for 1 red cent more and they'll call you ungrateful and toss you out because that's who they are. They're not good people. They're some of the most terrible people in our society. And we're letting them do it. My final talking point. The real way to win, stop playing their game. Thanks, ChatGPT. But what are we supposed to do? We need to work. We need to eat. We need a little shelter and maybe just occasionally a little Susie Rottencrotch behind the Taco Bell. But they don't want to give you that. So the wealthy don't follow the same rules they preach. So why should you? Rich people had an entire island full of Susie Rottencrotches. Rich people get all the love they can get on their beautiful yachts surrounded by gorgeous women that they're paying to be on that yacht. And these women will take it all day long. Imagine, you're young, you're beautiful, and someone's going to offer you thousands of dollars to come on their yacht just to woo-hoo with them for a few days. Would you rather work at Taco Bell by day serving tacos and at night serving the pink taco? No, most women will take the easy way out because that's what women do. It's a lot easier for them to get things because, as I've always said on this channel, the cat is expensive, the eggplant is free. Women know this. The eggplant all day long is free, and they know that in order to be able to get ahead, or at least a little bit ahead, even as proletariat women, they can sell the cat. Not maybe directly, but they know the cat has value. We as proletariat men with the eggplant, well, we have no real value. All we can do is hope to keep going to the plantation and keep planting, because the rest of our lives is going to be just as miserable as you can imagine. As I finish this video, I'm going to end it with my classic line. Every day is the worst day of my life.